Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Shardcast. I am your host, Frotelvania, as I bring to you episode 21 of Shardcast. This is going to be a HexTCGPro Challenge Series Round 2 matchup between TheGods and Errantsquire. It's going to feature some classic duel here with both players playing a monocolor deck. Errantsquire is going to be playing Mono Wild, whereas TheGods is going to play Mono Sapphire. So again, this is round 2 of the Challenge Series by HexTCGPro. This is January Season 1 matchup. And let's go ahead and get you over to the action right away as we can get to the coin flip here. And it looks like the winner of the coin flip is going to be TheGods. We are looking at this from Errantsquire's point of view, as he is looking at 3 wild shards, a Crazed Scroll Titan, a Fist to Bring It On, Wild Root Dancer, and another Wild Root Dancer. I'll probably pitch this one, as it's a fairly slow hand. He is playing a sort of a ramp deck. He can get there, but I don't see him hanging on to this. But I could be wrong. I am wrong. What a surprise. That's why I'm casting and not playing. TheGods hangs on to his 7. And we're going to get this game underway. And the only reason it really surprises me that Errantsquire is keeping this hand is, like I said, he is playing a ramp mono wild deck, and he doesn't have any of his ramp at all. Whether it be a Howling Brave, whether it be a Chlorophilia, maybe he could have played a Oakhenge, but he kept his hand, and we'll see how it works out for him. TheGods plays a Sapphire Shard Return and plays Ancestor's Chosen. Both these players won their first round match, so they're both 1-0 going into this, as we are in round 2 of a 8-round Swiss tournament. Errantsquire draws another wild shard for turn and drops one on the board, and we'll pass turn back over. Errantsquire playing the Reindeer Champion, which for 4 champion charge powers gives you 5 health. TheGods playing Wyatt the Sapper for 5 charges. You can draw a card. So we'll see how this works out. I'm guessing that TheGods is going to be playing some Flight here. Obviously, with the Ancestor's Chosen, that puts Ancestral Spectres into his deck. Errantsquire looking to basically storm and raid the ground game, centering probably around the Fist to Bring It On there. That's usually what a lot of the ramp decks center around. TheGods draws a card for turn, passes the first main phase, and swings his Ancestor Chosen into Errantsquire. Who will take his 1 and go down 19. Second main phase. TheGods drops another Sapphire Shard, going up to 2, and plays another Ancestor's Chosen. So now at the beginning of his turn, he'll be putting 4 Ancestral Spectres in his deck. Good thing Errantsquire left his mill deck at home. Just saying that, I'm not sure if Errantsquire runs a mill deck ever or not, but putting 4 cards back into your deck each turn will pretty much nullify any mill chance. Excuse my poor attempt at humor there, as TheGods passes turn back over to Errantsquire, who draws a Crash of Beasts. Plays another wild shard, going up to 2 resources. Again, with nothing less than a 3-drop, he's going to have to pass turn back over. Errantsquire 7 cards in hand, 2 wild shards, Crash of Beasts, Crazed Scroll Titan, Fist to Bring It On, and 2 Wild Root Dancers. TheGods has 4 cards in hand, and 2 Ancestor Chosen on the board. Errantsquire passes turn back over to TheGods, who draws a card for turn, going up to 5 cards, 20 health. As you see, both Ancestors Chosen do their little wiggle dance there. To let you know that 2 cards went into the deck from each one of them. TheGods plays Peek, which allows him to look at the top 5 cards of his, actually, top 5 cards. I have to look that up for you real quick. I believe it's the top 5 cards of the library. Pick one and shuffle the other 4 back in. He plays another Ancestor's Chosen. So he's got 3 Ancestor's Chosens on the board, which means he's going to be putting 6 Spectres in his deck, inflating his deck, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. And so make all of his cards that he was already trying to seek out of his deck when he built his deck in the first place harder to get to, because now the probability of getting to them is going to be rather slim. Or slimmer, I should say. Whereas the opportunity to draw a Ancestral Spectre is going to be quite large. But the nice thing about the Spectre is it is a 2/2 troop with flight for 1, but it allows you to draw a card when it enters play, so it's not that bad of a trade-off there. As TheGods swings for 2 here with the 2 chosen that were on the board, bringing Errantsquire down to 17. TheGods stays at 20, and will be forced to pass turn back over because he is out of resources now. So let's see what Errantsquire is going to draw here, and see if he tries to drop the... Oh, he draws a Chlorophylla, so decisions here. Whether he wants to go for Chlorophylla and go for the ramp, or he wants to put Crash of Beast out, that would be a good blocker, or Wild Root Dancer. I'm going to think Wild Root Dancer is not going to go here. I'm probably going Crash of Beast, next turn Wild Root Dancer, followed by the Shard. Just because he'll be able to pump up the Rhinoceros. Here comes Crash of Beasts. That's going to drop a 3/3 Rhinoceros with Crush on the board. But it also empties out Errantsquire resource pool, so it'll be done for the turn. And I apologize for bringing up the recorded timestamp at the bottom of the screen there. I'm trying to verify the how peak reads now. Nevertheless, Errantsquire is passing turn back over to the gods. All 3 chosen shake there. Meaning he puts 6 Spectres in deck. We should see him drawing a bunch of these. Alright, Peak says, look at the cards on top of your deck equal to the number of Sapphire Threshold you have. Put one of them in your hand and shuffle the remaining cards in your deck. Sorry it took me so long to get to that. In the meantime, the gods plays Time Ripple on the Rhinoceros, which will stick it back into Errantsquire's hand and give it a permanent cost of +1. So it will be a 4-drop now. Meaning the gods can swing with all 3 chosens here. Maybe. He's thinking about it. There he goes. With no troops on the board and no cards to answer that with, or no resource to play it, Errantsquire will take 3 here. So the God's still at 20 health, Errantsquire at 14. The Gods has 3 more cards in hand. Errantsquire with 7. And the Gods are going to pass turn over to Errantsquire. Start of turn 4 for Errantsquire. Draws a Howling Brave. That will help him to ramp. Maybe a few turns later than he wanted it, so we'll see how he does this. Chlorophylla is going to go on the board. Well, not on the board, he's going to play it. It's a basic action, so he'll actually go to his graveyard. So he'll gain 2 more Wild Threshold and 2 permanent resources, making a total of 5 for each. Drops a Wild Shard and probably the Howling Brave. Yep. And Errantsquire's Champion Power lights up, so we'll see if he goes ahead and takes advantage of that now. Some of those Champion Powers really don't need to wait to use it. There he goes, up to 19 health. So with Errantsquire at the number of resources he pretty much needs, I would imagine he would be willing to trade his Howling Brave for one of those chosen if the gods decided to swing again. We'll see here. I mean, there's always a positive side to having many more resources, but I think taking the 2 Spectres away from being put in the deck each time for the Gods is probably a better trade there. Start of the turn. 6 more Spectres in the deck, draws 1 for turn. His library now has 66 cards in it. 4 cards in hand. And the Gods. So he chooses to swing all 3 again. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do it. Yep, there it goes. Errantsquire will probably take the opportunity to take one of those chosen off the board. Both players really not sad about the trade here because the Gods pretty much have more Spectres in the deck than he would, ever need, I would imagine. And he can take the Howling Brave off the board, which takes resources away from Errantsquire, practically. And Errantsquire is also taking the threat of those Spectres back, so not really surprised that they are trading off here. Errantsquire will take damage from 2 of them going through, down to 17 health. Second main phase, Gods drops a Sapphire Shard, bringing his resource total up to 4. And drops Incantation of Ascendance, which is a constant that says whenever you draw a card, put a counter on him. When he gets to 5 counters on the constant, transform it and other copies to a Lightning Armada, which is a 2/2 flight troop that gains +2/+2 multiple of +2/+2 equal the number of cards in your hand. So for example, the Gods has 2 cards in his hand, the Armada would actually get +4/+4. If he had 3 cards, it'd be +6/+6, so on and so forth. So he will pass turn over to Errantsquire, who's looking at 5 cards in hand, draws another Wild Shard. So he's going to be able to start getting some of these out. Crazy Squirrel Titan will take a chosen off the board. And he's going to go ahead and play that. Because whenever the Crazy Squirrel Titan comes into play, it attacks target opposing troop. So we'll attack one of the 1/1 chosen, so it will go down to a 4/4 for the remainder of the turn, but the chosen will be wiped off the board. I was interested to see if Errantsquire would have played the Wild Root Dancer and the Rhinoceros just to put some more bodies out there. That way he could have dropped the Fist next turn and pumped up the Fist, especially since the Gods had no resources to counter any of that. They pass turn over the Gods. 2 more Spectres go into the deck. As you saw, the Incantation wiggle there as well, as a counter got put on it. The Gods drops a Sapphire Shard and immediately plays the Champion Power to draw another card. So there goes another counter. Ancestral Spectre hits the table. Draw a card when it comes into play, so there's another counter. So 3 counters already on the Incantation. So this has proved to be quite a problem for Errantsquire if that Incantation gets swinging anytime soon. 3 cards in hand for the Gods, 4 resources available. Ancestor's chosen, an Ancestral Spectre, and an Incantation on the board. Errantsquire has this 4/5 Squirrel Titan, and 5 cards in hand. But the Gods will not swing as chosen here. That would be a futile. Passes on a second main phase, so holds 4 resources back and 3 cards in hand, which usually smells like counter magic. But we'll see if he's playing one in deck. Errantsquire draws a Howling Brave. So here comes the Wild Root Dancer. No counter. Here comes another Wild Root Dancer. Big play here. So now Errantsquire can play his Wild Shard and actually pump each of the Wild Root Dancers, which make them 4/4s, which isn't an uncommon play if you have 2 on the board. So he's going to set which one triggers first. Alright, so the middle Wild Root Dancer has to give his 2/2 to somebody else. So he's going to give it to the other Wild Root Dancer, and vice versa. Yep, so they'll both be 4/4s here. So Errantsquire has a 4/5 Squirrel Titan and 2 4/4 Wild Root Dancers. So assuming that the Gods can't turn his Incantation into Armada anytime soon, if Errantsquire draws a Shard next turn, he could be in a world of hurt because you could see Fist of Brigadon come down as a 10/10. So Errantsquire swings for 4, swinging the Squirrel Titan. And it doesn't look like the Gods are going to block, so he'll take the 4, going down to 16. 17 health for Errantsquire, 16 for the Gods. Second main phase, Errantsquire is going to drop the Howling Brave on the board. Honeycap would be good here for Errantsquire. He's got 9 threshold. That would make a 9/9 troop out there. Alright, so the Gods will draw card for turn, going up to 4 cards and putting 4 counters on the incantation. Any other card draw will put an Armada out on the board. Swinging away. Because the constant was already into play. Oh, that's a good card. We'll get back to incantation in a second. Medicine Grawl comes in, a 2/2 flight troop, but it exhausts all opposing troops and they do not ready their next turn. So the Gods will get a couple good swings in here, especially since next turn, that incantation will turn into an Armada and it'll have free reign. As I said a few moments ago, because the incantation was already in play, even though it turns into a troop, because it was in play already for at least a turn, it gets to attack immediately. It doesn't fall into troop trauma as the troops normally do when they come into play, unless they have speed, of course. So the Gods will swing with the Ancestor's Chosen and the Ancestral Spectre for 3, dropping Errantsquire down to 14. Errantsquire will move to his prep phase, but as you see, none of his troops ready. He draws a Wild Shard, so he can put either the Rhinoceros or put a 10/10 Fist out. 10/10 Fist will be good because it proves formidable, but with 2 flight troops out there and the Armada having flight when it comes into play, it's going to be good on the crackback, but I don't know if it's going to help him win the game. He may not have enough turns left. We'll see. So he drops the Fist of Brigadon, 6/6. Invincible, Crush, and must attack each turn of Fable. Here comes a Wild Shard, which will still trigger both Wild Root Dancers. Even though they're exhausted, they still trigger. Both of them giving their 2/2 to the Wild Root Dancer. Bring it to a 10/10. So Errantsquire has 4 exhausted troops out there and a ready to 10/10 Fist of Brigadon. With only 2 resources left and only the 4-drop Rhinoceros in hand, he's going to pass turn back over to the Gods. The Gods will get his 5th counter on the incantation as soon as he draws this card, which will put a 10/10 Armada out there. It's a 2/2 of flight, +2/+2, 4 cards in hand, so it will be a 10/10. So he will swing for 15, 14 of flying. That should be game. My math is correct. What's known to be wrong previously, but 10 +2/+2 is 14. That's all Errantsquire's got. So that should be game. Assuming that the Gods doesn't play a card here. He plays a card that will foil things. So unless I'm seeing that one of you guys, unless I'm not seeing something you guys are, that should be game. We should see all 3 flight troops attack, and that will do it. 14 damage exactly, so Errantsquire will be done for game 1. So the Gods scores a win on game 1. Well played match. It looked like that Errantsquire, if he had maybe one more turn, could have turned things around. So with no sideboarding going on, we'll go practically straight into game 2 here. As soon as they get set and ready to go, I think we'll have a few second break here. Yep, here we go, right back to the coin flip. And it looks like Errantsquire won the flip this time, as he draws 3 Wild Shards, a Crash of Beasts. He has a Fist of Brigadon, Honeycap, and Oakhenge. As the Gods will look at his hand here and decide if he's going to keep his hand or not. Sift through my notes here for a second, just a second. Yeah, Oakhenge Ceremony says that for a basic action, 1-drop, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand and shuffle the remaining in the deck. That's what I got confused with the peak earlier. Very similar card. Oakhenge says you have to put a troop among them in your deck. So yeah, look at the top 5, put a troop among them in your deck, and shuffle the remaining, put a troop among them in your hand, shuffle the remaining in your deck. Good thing they haven't started yet. A little bit of fumble of the card text there. The Gods giving his hand a pretty good once over here, deciding if he's going to mulligan or not. In the meantime, again, this is the HexTCGPro Challenge Series. Season 1, Tournament 1, Round 2. Both the Gods and Errantsquire won their first round match, both 1-0 going into the second round. This is a Swiss tournament for 8 rounds, meaning that if you lose, you aren't quite done. So we are in the best of 3 match here. The Gods decides he's going to keep his 7 cards, and Errantsquire will get us started here. He'll go Wild Shard and Oaken Ceremony. The 5 cards he looks at from the top of his deck are going to be Jadim, Chaos Key, Fist of Brigadon, Chlorophilia, and another Chaos Key. So he'll be able to choose from the Fist of Brigadon or Jadim. I would imagine he was either looking for the Fist to get set up, or Howling Brave would have been a good one here too. It would help him ramp. But I imagine he's going to take maybe Jadim here, just for the fact that it'll be a quicker drop. As you know, speed was not his friend last time. He's already got a Fist in hand too, so he does take the Jadim. Yeah, Honeycap would have been good there if he could have drawn one of those, but Jadim is never a bad selection if you can go ahead and put one of those in your hand. So he will pass turn over to the Gods. The Gods again is playing a Mono Sapphire deck. We saw him take game 1. He will drop a Sapphire Shard for turn. Sorry about that, it kind of messed up the scoreboard again. And let's see if he drops one of his Ancestors Chosen. He does not, so he doesn't get the Ancestors Chosen out the first 3 turns again. Instead, he passes turn back over to Errantsquire, and we can see Errantsquire get to work here shortly. He draws another Wild Shard. So with 2 shards out, only 3 drops are higher in hand, he's going to have to pass turn back over to the Gods. I think Errantsquire would have loved to have seen Howling Brave in either the first game or this game to get started. The Gods will draw a card for turn and drop another Sapphire Shard, as well as peek again. Let's get this card correct this time. It's a quick action that says look at the cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of Sapphire Threshold you have, which is 2. Put any card among them into your hand and shuffle the remaining back into your deck. I will play that card going down to 6, select which card he wants to have, put it back in his hand, going back up to 7, as we see right there. No resources left, as Peak cost him both of his resources he had, so he'll pass turn back over to Errantsquire. Errantsquire, assuming he doesn't draw anything of any better value, will put a Crash of Beasts on the board and maybe put some pressure on the Gods. Because you can go 3, 4, 5, 6 as we see it right now. Crash of Beasts, Honeycap, Jadim, Fist of Brigadon. Obviously, with 4 different card draws there, that could easily change. Although I really don't see anything wrong with that order. We'll see. Draws another Wild Shard. So here comes the Wild Shard and the Crash of Beasts. So Errantsquire will put a 3/3 Rhinoceros with Crush on the board and shuffle Crash of Beasts back into his deck. All the copies of Crash of Beasts will now put 2 Rhinoceri, or Rhinoceroses, as I learned the other day that either of those plural forms are accepted. Yeah, so next time he plays a Crash of Beasts, he'll put 2 out into play. Passing turn back over the Gods. Start at turn 3. Draws a card. Drops another Sapphire Shard, up to 3 resources. So we'll see. He's going to play a Buccaneer, which is a 2/2 troop for 3 that says when you put it into play, put target troop back into its owner's hand and it gets permanent costs of +1. So, because it went to the stack, he is activating the ability, which means the Rhinoceros will go back to Errantsquire's hand, which slows him down just a hair. So the Rhinoceros, you can see, is now have the red 4 as the casting cost now. So Errantsquire will have to decide between the Rhinoceros or the Honeycap next turn. As the Gods has a 2/2 Buccaneer on board, 6 cards in hand and no resources available to play him. We'll pass turn back over. Start at turn 4 for Errantsquire. 6 cards in hand. We'll draw another shard. So he's going to have his all the resources he needs. He drops his 4th shard on the board. And we'll play the Rhinoceros back out. Let's see if he uses that champion power. Again, running deer is one of those where there's no advantage to waiting on your charge power. Anytime you can put 5 more health in your bank there, and which may or may not prevent lethal damage in the future, you go ahead and do it. Please put the Rhinoceros in play, leaving him with 2 wild shards, a Fist of Brigadon, a Jadim, and a Honeycap in his hand. Yep, there goes the champion charge power, bringing Errantsquire up to 25. And he will pass turn. The thing Errantsquire will want to worry about as far as Jadim and Fist of Brigadon is how many resources the gods will have available when he plays those. Mono Sapphire is notorious for running counter magic, and more likely 3 or 4 copies of them. So leaving 3 resources open screams that, and that could slow Errantsquire down again. We'll see what the gods decides to do here. Errantsquire in the driver's seat. He's got a 3/3 troop with Crush and 5 more health, whereas the gods has a 2/2 troop on the board. The gods draws a card and drops a Sapphire Shard, going up to 4 resources. 6 cards in hand. Ancestors Chosen. Those look oddly familiar. The gods trying to finish off Errantsquire to win the match 2-0 and go to 2-0 in the tournament. Errantsquire looking to win game 2 and prolong the match by moving to game 3. The gods trying to decide here what he wants to do next. At 3/3 Rhinoceros. Okay, so he's going to play an Oracle Song here, which will give him more cards in hand, which will help him in the future turns. He's pretty much conceding that he's going to take the 3 on the chin unless he plans on double blocking, which I wouldn't imagine he would do. No point in playing the Ancestors Chosen, not really getting a benefit from it. So 0 resources now, 6 cards in hand. He's going to pass turn over to Errantsquire. Nobody in the right frame of mind will swing a 2/2 into a 3/3. Especially with no resources back to have any combat tricks. So Errantsquire will start his 5th turn. By drawing another wild shard. I believe if I counted correctly, that should be his 4th straight turn drawing a shard. So with no resources for the gods, this is exactly when Errantsquire has no problem dropping Jadim on the board. No worry about counter magic. And he can now start going to work on the gods. Which is odd to say. But his name is TheGods. Anyway. Jadim lands on the board as a 5/5. Again, he's a 5/5 troop with flight. That says when you play a card, Jadim gains permanent +X equal, where X is equal to that card's cost. Again, that's whenever you play the card. So even if Errantsquire were to play Fist of Brigadon next turn and it was countered using counter magic, Jadim would still get the +6/6 because the Fist cost is 6. It's a huge distinction, which makes Jadim a very powerful card. Meanwhile, Errantsquire swung for 3 with the Rhinoceros and it went through unblocked. So the gods is down to 17 health. Errantsquire is still at 25. The gods drawing his card for turn and drops another Sapphire Shard, lighting up White the Sapper's champion power. Let's see if the gods decides to use it to draw a card. He does, going up to 7 cards in hand. Oh, a little bit. Sorry about that. Feed try having its way with me. Let's see if we see a missing Grok here. 5 resources in a Mono Sapphire deck, where 3 resources smells like counter magic. 5 resources smells like missing Grok. Not a great play here because he would only tap down the Jadim, but he does tap down the Jadim, because meaning no matter what Errantsquire plays next turn, that Jadim won't be swinging at him, especially since he has no flyers to block. So the only thing I think of is maybe the gods is staring at his 7 cards, wishing one of them was missing Grok. Maybe crying softly to himself on the other side of the computer. Nope, there it is. Just making Errantsquire sweat for a moment. Here comes Missing Grok 2-2 Flight Troop that says, exhaust all opposing troops, and they do not ready during their next ready step. So the gods will be able to swing for 3 here freely, knocking Errantsquire down to 22. Since Errantsquire has no combat tricks, nor has the resources to play them. Just to recap, Errantsquire has 2 wild shards of Fisted Brigand and a Honeycap in hand. So Errantsquire will take the 3 damage going down to 22. The god's still at 17. But that Jadim on the board is definitely a threat. Not one that anybody likes to stare at from across the table, or across the monitor, or across the interwebs. So the gods ends his turn. Errantsquire will move to his ready phase. Nothing will ready here because of the Missing Grok. He draws a Wild Root Dancer. So, decision time. I play the Fist because it gives Jadim +6/+6. He could have played the Wild Root Dancer, give it +3/+3, then the Wild Shard, and give it +2/+2. But he'll probably just do that next turn. Because now he has a blocker for a couple of his land troops. Whereas if he played the Wild Root Dancer, he could have blocked the Buccaneer, but he would have had to trade. So, Jadim, you see, goes up to 11/11 because of the 6 cost card. Errantsquire will pass turn. I don't know about how the god's mental state was at this point in time, but I know I wouldn't, or emotional state, I guess I should say. I know I wouldn't like to be standing across the board to a 3/3 Crush Troop, an 11/11 Flyer, and a 6/6 Crush Invincible Troop. But nevertheless, Gods draws card for turn, drops a 6th resource. And let's see how he wants to approach this. We don't know what's in his hand. A Yesterday would be great. Buccaneer or Time Rip will be okay. Mastery Time. Not bad. I'm guessing he's using that more of like a draw card, because he's only be able to get 2 damage in both times. So unless he's hoping to draw something next turn, like maybe another Grok, or like I said, a Time Ripple. Yesterday wouldn't be half bad. So we'll see. Attack phase, the 2 from the Grok comes through because it's flying, so the Fist can't block it. Errantsquire going down to 20. Second main phase, 1 resource available, 5 cards in hand. The Gods passes through the phase. Because of the Mastery Time, which was a 5-drop, he gets to play another turn. Draws a card, goes up to 6. Plays another Shard. 7 resources available, 5 cards in hand. Storm Colossus? It's got Spell Shield. But Buccaneer, that's a good card. I'm assuming that either he had it and he wanted to use the 2 turns in a row. But I'm assuming he just drew that card. Because then I wouldn't see any advantage to... Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I see what he's doing. He Buccaneered the Fisted Brigand off the board, making a 7-drop, not knowing that Errantsquire's got another Shard in hand. If there's a Thunderbird out there to give him 2 flying blockers, which will keep Jadim at bay for at least 2 turns. With everybody exhausted, now that the Fisted Brigand is off the board, which is another reason why he Buccaneered him, he can swing for 5, bringing Errantsquire down to 15. So not a bad play. The only thing that is not good about the play is we know Errantsquire's got a 7th Shard, which means Jadim will gain another +6/+6 when the Brigand comes in the second time around. So here comes another Wild Shard. That's like 17 turns in a row. Actually, I think it drew a Wild Root Dancer in there, so not quite the same. Here comes the Wild Root Dancer, making Jadim a 14, or Jadim. I hear it pronounced Jadim. I pronounce it Jadim because there's 2 I's in his name. If you like Jadim, great. I won't keep pronouncing it Jadim. Maybe we can get Cryptozoic to get a pronunciation for us. Who knows? Wild Root Dancer comes in. Buffs Jadeem up to a 14/14 because of the cost of 3. Wild Shard, activating Wild Root Dancer's ability. He's going to give the ability to the Rhinoceros, making him a 5/5. So Errantsquire now has a 2/2 Wild Root Dancer on the board with Troop Trauma. A 5/5 Rhinoceros with Crush, 18/18. Oh, sorry. It was a 14/14 Jadeem until Errantsquire just played a Honeycap, which costs 4. So Jadeem's an 18/18 now. Honeycap comes in as a 7/7 due to the 7 wild threshold. So the Gods is now forced to block Jadeem with the 1/1 Thunderbird he just put into play. Otherwise, that's game. That's lethal damage. Ooh, maybe not. Spoke too soon. The Gods plays a Time Ripple. That's going to put Jadeem back into Errantsquire's hand. So now he only faces the 5/5 Crush Troop of the Rhinoceros. I made the mistake of not looking to see how many resources the Gods had. So he chooses to block the Rhinoceros with the Buccaneer. 3 damage will still go through because of the Crush ability. So the Gods goes down to 14. So Errantsquire has a 7/7 Honeycap, a 2/2 Wild Root Dancer, and a 5/5 Rhinoceros with Crush on the board. No Flight Troops now. The Gods has a 2/2 Buccaneer, a 1/1 Ancestor's Chosen, a 2/2 Flying Menacing Grok, and a 1/1 Flying Thunderbird with Rage 1. Draws a card for turn, puts an Ancestral Spectre on the board, which is another flying troop, but allows him to draw another card. Back up to 3 cards after drawing. 6 resources available. Drops another shard, up to 7 resources available. Peek. That costs 2 of them. So he's going to look at the top 8 cards of his library. Choose one from among them, put him in his hand. With 5 resources available, I smell Menacing Grok here, if he can get to it. So 48 cards, you look at the top 6 of the... There it is! Menacing Grok! For exactly 5 resources available. So that will exhaust all of Errantsquire's troops. The issue with that is unless that 1 card in hand for the Gods is a Buccaneer or a Time Ripple, Errantsquire can still play Jadeem next turn. In the meantime, though, with the Rage ability from the Thunderbird, Errantsquire is going to swing the Buccaneer, the Chosen, the first Grok, and the Thunderbird for 7 damage, taking Errantsquire down to 8. Errantsquire can play a Shard next turn, though, and get 5 of that back. So here comes the damage from the attack phase. Errantsquire down to 8. No resources left, 1 card in hand for the Gods. So he'll pass turn over Errantsquire. The 3 troops on board for Errantsquire will not ready because of the second Menacing Grok that came into play. Errantsquire will draw a card for turn. He has a 7-cost Fist and a 6-cost Jadeem, and he draws another Wild Shard. That's all he's been drawing. I think 6 out of the last 7 turns have been Wild Shards. So he'll drop Jadeem on the board, who's still 18/18, because those were permanent stats, which is something that's unique to the HexTCG as opposed to other trading card games out there. So those counters didn't come off. He drops a resource onto the board, which gives the Wild Root Dancer's ability to trigger. He's going to give the +2/+2 to the Rhinoceros. Not a bad play because Jadeem doesn't need the extra health to block, or the extra defense to block. Errantsquire plays his champion power up to 13 health. So Errantsquire's at 13, the Gods at 14. The Gods has the ability to swing for 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. With the Thunderbird, Rage 1 is 12. Errantsquire's at 13. The Gods can swing the house for 12. Now, granted, Jadeem is still in the way, so he's really going to get 10 of it through. Which means he can't swing that. Oh, there goes a Time Ripple. There goes Jadeem. Unfortunately, the Gods can't swing still. Because with only 14 health, a 7/7 Rhinoceros, and a 7/7 Honeycap, and a 2/2 Wild Root Dancer, that would be lethal damage coming back. Because Errantsquire's got 13 health. Reminder, 13. 2 from Buccaneer, 1 from the Chosen, 2 from the Grok, 2 from the Grok, 3 from the Thunderbird, and 2 from the Spectre is 12. This may be a huge misstep from the Gods. The Gods have spoken, and they were incorrect this time, leaving Errantsquire with 1 health. 0 cards in hand for the Gods. He cannot do anything about this. Errantsquire's troops are going to ready next turn. That's lethal damage on the board. Errantsquire doesn't even need to play a card. He's going to play the Wild Root Dancer just for good measure. I don't blame him. I'm sure we'll see the Wild Shard too. Pump them all up. Go ahead. But he doesn't need to. Unfortunate misstep. The Gods could have won, or not could have won the match, at least stayed in the match to maybe win it later on in the game. However, we're going to game 3. He accidentally handed the game to the Gods. All he had to do was keep one troop back to block. So no matter what Errantsquire put into play, it couldn't have attacked that turn. So he was facing the Honeycap, the Rhinoceros, and the Wild Root Dancer. Even with the Crush, blocking one of them wouldn't have been lethal damage. He could turn on next turn, swung the house, and won. And that would have been matched. So yes, the Gods could have had the match the next turn. But instead, the misstep, the miscalculation by the Gods, leaving Errantsquire with 1 health, cost him. Cost him the game and the match. Well, the match isn't necessarily over. I don't want to speak too soon. Because obviously the Gods can still win the match. They can win in game 3. My point was that he could have had the match won had he not made that misstep. So he's just going to have to win it in game 3, leaving Errantsquire 1 more shot at winning the match and taking it back. So we'll wait as the gentlemen here get ready for game 3. And I'll get you out to that as soon as I go to coin flip. Again, it shouldn't be too long here. Actually, I think they're going to it right about now. Yep, here's the coin flip again. Didn't get to see who won that. I believe the Gods won it this time. Errantsquire staring at a hand of 2 Wild Shards, Chlorophylla, Battle Beetle, Jadim, Wild Root Dancer, and Munario Sensei as he's shuffling them. That makes it difficult for me to follow along. So he's going to keep that. Again, 2 Wild Shards, Chlorophylla, Wild Root Dancer, Munario Sensei, Jadim, and Battle Beetle, which I can only assume has the Spell Shield gem in. Again, right now, the gems don't produce the text on the card, so maybe we'll know here in the future. The God starts us off with a 7-card hand, drops a Sapphire Shard, and Ancestor's Chosen. I didn't complete game 1. Let's see if it works out for him the same way. Errantsquire drawing more shards. What else is new? Drops Wild Shard for turn. No 1-drop again. Luckily from this time, though, he's got the Sensei, which has card draw on it, and he's got the Chlorophylla. So he can ramp fairly quickly this game, as opposed to the first 2. The Gods will draw a card for turn, drop a Sapphire Shard, and play Peek. Again, this is identical to game 1. So look at the top 2 cards, because that's how many threshold he has in Sapphire. Choose one and shuffle the other one back into his deck. Bring his total up to 5 cards, no resources available, but no droop out to block. Here comes Ancestor's Chosen. This is game 3. This isn't game 1 again. 1 damage to Errantsquire, down to 19. As soon as he gets the button to pass priority back. The good thing for Errantsquire is this hand sets up much better than that first hand did in game 1. So I should be able to at least put up a formidable chance against the Gods here. How dare you attack the Gods? Dare you defy the Gods? I could have a whole lot of fun with that, but I'm not going to be that corny, that cheesy. I've already done it once. Drops Wild Shard for turn. As he drew a Wild Shard again. Drops Sensei, which allows him to draw another card. He picks up another Wild Root Dancer. So he has 2 Wild Shards in hand. Battle Beetle, which we can assume is Spell Shield with the gem. Jadim, Chlorophylla, and 2 Wild Root Dancers. So Errantsquire will get to work here shortly. The Gods will draw a card for turn, put 2 Spectres in his deck, drop a Sapphire Shard, and let's see if he comes out another Chosen. Surely we can't see that carbon copy again. The God's looking his hand over. Yep, here comes another chosen. Errantsquire's got to be thinking to himself, not again. He's probably, like I said, he's probably not, because his hand is much better than it was in the first game. He's actually set it fairly nicely with his hand. So the Gods has 2 chosens on the board again. 2 resources back. Errantsquire has a Munario Sensei on the board as we move to turn 3 for Errantsquire. So this is game 3 of the rubber match. Winner goes to 2-0. Loser goes to 1-1. But again, it's 8-round Swiss, so 1-1 could end up being 7-1 and top 8. Who knows? Keep tuning in. Draws a Fist of Brigadon for turn. That's huge for Errantsquire. That's one of his key pieces to his deck. Drops his 3rd shard. And let's see if he drops the Chlorophilia here to ramp up to Jadim. Or if he dropped the Wild Root Dancer. I'm going Chlorophilia here if I'm him. Yep. Wild Root Dancers are good for their card ability, but not to apply any pressure as far as damage goes. And Errantsquire is going to want to have a flyer out there shortly if the God starts pulling any of these specters he's putting in his deck. 4 at a time now. Errantsquire passes turn back over, 6 cards in hand. The Gods will draw to 5 cards in hand. And he'll have 57 cards in his library. Drops Sapphire Shard, going up to 4 resources. Come on, let's see that 3rd chosen. He's going to pass his first main phase, though. Passes the attack phase. 2nd main. Passes the 2nd main phase. Interesting. 4 cards in hand, 4 resources available. Errantsquire draws for turn, he draws a Honeycap, which is going to be a pretty strong Honeycap at this point in time. Errantsquire's already got 5 threshold. Then drop the Wild Root Dancer. Then drop the Shard and buff the Sensei. Not a bad play. That forces some pressure onto the Gods. I would imagine if the Gods had a counter magic, he wouldn't let that Wild Root Dancer hit play. You see the champion power of Errantsquire light up there, meaning he can gain 5 health at any time. Munario Sensei is now 3-3. Attack phase, and we'll see it swing. We'll see it turn sideways. There we go. See if the God chooses to block. Probably not this early in the game. Especially when both Chosens are putting cards in his deck. Ones that have been proven to be very cumbersome and annoying to Errantsquire. And yep, there goes the 3 damage through. So Errantsquire's at 19. 2nd main phase. Down comes the 2nd Wild Root Dancer. And gains 5 health. So Errantsquire's at 24, the Gods at 17. Errantsquire has a 3-3 Sensei on the board, who's exhausted, and 2 Wild Root Dancers. The Gods have, it's one person, the Gods has 2 Ancestral Chosen on the board. So he will draw a card, going up to 5, put 4 more Specters in his deck. Drop a Sapphire Shard, lights up his champion power. He'll draw another card. 5 cards in hand. 5 resources available. Should we see Grolk again? Mastery of Time. Interesting. That was a 5-drop card draw? What it sounds like to me. Because he can't play anything else. And he can't swing, because they'll be blocked. So I'm guessing the God senses the pressure coming with Errantsquire's 2 Root Dancers on the board and played the Mastery of Time for the card draw. Because that will put 4 more Specters in deck and he's hoping to start drawing them. Draws card for turn, back up to 5 cards, 5 resources. Nether resource drop, now 6 resources available. So let's see if that paid off for him. God's looking his hand over. He has 4 cards in hand, 6 resources available. He's facing Errantsquire with 2 Root Dancers on the board and ready. 1/3/3 Sensei exhausted. Errantsquire has a Battle Beetle with what we can only assume is a Spell Shield gem in it, a Fist of Brigadon, Jadim, and Honeycap. So Errantsquire is about ready to go to town here. So the Gods has has to really think this through, because he has to juggle putting troops on the board, applying pressure with control at this point in time. Because he's got to know Errantsquire's got at least one of those 3 cards in his hand, the Beetle, the Fist, or Jadim. So he does. He chooses to bypass his first main, his attack step, and his second main. So he spent 2 turns drawing cards and playing a Mastery of Time, and putting 8 Ancestral Specters in his deck. Let's not forget that. Errantsquire draws a Wild Shard for turn, which means he's going to drop whatever troop he decides to first, and then pump somebody with both of the Wild Root Dancers. Or he's just going to pump the Sensei up to a 7/7. No, he's pumping the Wild Root Dancers to make him 4/4s again. I had mentioned that last game that most people like to do that. I was kind of surprised to see that. Errantsquire must be thinking counter magic, as most of us watching this Shardcast right now, watching this game right now, are thinking as well. So Errantsquire is going to go ahead and swing. And I imagine he'll probably swing with all 3 of them. I don't see a downside to swinging all 3 of them. The only thing I have to worry about swinging is a Repel, which is a diamond card, which we're not seeing played. So the Gods will see if he decides to block any of these. Here comes Time Ripple. We can see that. He could have done that any turn, though. So he's going to Time Ripple one of the Root Dancers, putting it back into the God's hands. Or putting it back in the Errantsquire's hand, I'm sorry. And let's see if he takes the other 7. Nope, he's going to chump block the other Wild Root Dancer. So the Gods will lose one of his chosen off the board and take 3 damage, down to 14. Errantsquire's at 24. The Gods at 14. And Errantsquire is going to play the Honeycap. With 7 Wild Threshold, that will be a 7/7 troop when it hits the board. The Gods either wisely didn't counter magic that, or does not have one in hand. He may be waiting for one of the other 3 beasts in Errantsquire's hand right now. Passes turn, the Gods draws another card going up to 4, drops his 7th resource. So 3 cards in hand, 7 resources available. Just an Ancestor Chosen on the board. Facing the 7/7 Honeycap that's ready. And what we know to be a whole slew of beasts in Errantsquire's hand. And down by 10 health. Things aren't looking great for the Gods right now. Unfortunately for the Gods, that misstep in Game 2 is not looking great. It's looking even worse by each passing turn. Because as we deduced before, had he left 1 blocker back, instead of swinging all 6 troops in Game 2 on that last play, he would have been able to survive and finish off Errantsquire and win the match on the next turn. So the Gods trying to figure out. I would imagine he's taking an extra second or 2 each turn this time around, and I don't blame him. He's got to figure out what Errantsquire might have in his hand and decide, hey, how can I put myself in the best position to go back on the offensive? Because right now he's clearly on the defensive. So he plays the Grolk. That'll give him a flyer out there, but also exhausts the Honeycap. So the Gods can attack for 1 if he really wants to here. Yep. So Errantsquire will go down to 23. So it'll be interesting to see if Errantsquire plays Jadim next, or if he goes ahead and plays the Fist. Because the Fist has Crush, meaning that Grolk is rather useless. Let's see if he draws a Shard. If he draws a Shard, let's see. Errantsquire draws a Crash of Beasts. which I don't recall. He didn't play one this game, so that's only going to be worth 1 Rhinoceros. So let's see if he plays. He plays the Battle Beetle, which you can give flight. So it's a 5/5, and that is a spell shield gem, meaning it can't be targeted by opposing spells. But for 2 additional resources, you can give flight to the Battle Beetle. Meaning he could force the Grok to block. Because he would be swinging at least 5 the next turn. So 4 cards in hand, 23 health. Errantsquire passes turn with the Gods. The Gods draws a card per turn, plays Ancestral Spectre, draws another card, back up to 3. 6 resources available. Another resource. So he has 7 available. Mastery of Time again. So he's going to play 2 turns here. He can swing for... He only swing for 2. Because the Chosen cannot swing. So again, he's with only 1 card in hand. That Mastery of Time has got to be just for card draw. He's got to find something. Unfortunately, looking at his deck, the only thing I can assume he's looking for has got to be more Spectres. Because I haven't seen a Storm Colossus, I haven't seen a Eldritch Dreamer, or something that is like a go-to win condition card. So, second turn, draws card, plays Ancestral Spectre, draws another card. So again, 2 cards in hand. If he keeps pumping out Spectres, that could help him. But that's a lot of damage on the board. I mean, here comes the Buccaneer. That helps. That would probably help the better next turn. As we know, there's a Judim and Fisted Brigadon in hand. But you know that Buccaneer's taking the Battle Beetle off the board. No, he takes the Honeycap off the board. Plays another Shard. So he's going to swing the 4 flying that came in the previous turn. The Grok and the first Spectre. So that will take Errantsquire down to 17. That leaves the Gods 3 blockers back this time. 17 health for Errantsquire, 14 for the Gods. 5 cards in hand for Errantsquire. The Gods is top decking. 0 cards in hand. So Errantsquire, let's see how he decides to play this. I don't think he'll play the Honeycap again. Although, actually, the Honeycap would be a 14/14 if you played him. But he doesn't have Crush, so he's just going to get blocked. I might want to play the Flying Troop or the Fist here. Yeah, Honeycap would be a 14/14 because he gets permanent plus X plus X. He gets permanent plus X plus X equal to the amount of Wild Threshold when he comes into play. But again, without a Crush ability like that, he gets blocked by a 1/1. So, he doesn't have Flight, so he doesn't help block on the other side. So I don't play the Honeycap here. I think I'm playing Judim, followed by Howling Brave, maybe. Errantsquire goes ahead and moves to his attack phase. And he's also trying to do some math in his head and figure out the best way to do this. He's already selected the Sensei to swing. He could give the Battle Beetle flight, but I think he's going to wait and use it to block next turn. Which means if he plays Judim, he can't play the Howling Brave. If he plays Judim, he can give the Battle Beetle flight with the remaining 2 resources. He has 2 flight blockers. So yes, he swings with Sensei only. That isn't blocked by the Chosen or the Buccaneer. So the Gods goes down to 11. A little glitch there, and here comes Judim. So yeah, that gives him 1 blocker out there. I don't see him playing the Howling Brave here. Yes, that makes Judim is 6/6. But it takes away the ability to give the Battle Beetle flight. If he gives the Battle Beetle flight, he can block at least 2. Or he can block 2 of the attackers next turn. So he doesn't. He leaves the 2 resources available. The Gods will pick up his top deck off the top of the library there. It is a Thunderbird, another flying troop. Alright, so let's see here. 2 can be blocked, meaning 4 is going to go through. But here's the thing. He has to have blockers back as well. Because he doesn't want Errantsquire to beat him on the return fire next turn like he did last game. So, yeah, the Gods chooses not to attack here. He's going to rely on his card draw and rely on his plethora of troops, if you will, to chump block. I would think Errantsquire wants a shard here. He gets one. Okay. Which means he can drop Wild Root Dancer and give Jadim Wild Root Dancer, because it's a 4-drop, we'll make Jadim a 9/9, drop the Wild Shard, make him a 13/13. Or he can give it to the Battle Beetle, make the Battle Beetle a 9/9, and it can be a Flight Troop. Interesting. He chooses to give one of the Root Dancers +2/+2, and give the Sensei +2/+2. Without Crush on either of those troops, I don't know if I quite agree with that play. He was almost better off playing the Crash of Beasts first and giving the Rhinoceros the buffs, because it at least had Crush, so it is what it is. He plays Howling Brave, making Jadim a 10/10. So he swings with Jadim and swings with the 5/5 Sensei. So the Gods will have to block one of them. At this point in time, it's scary, but I might let the 10 through? Or nope, he's going to block them both. Alright, so he uses the Buccaneer to block the Sensei, at least play. He uses the Thunderbird to block Jadim, so the Gods takes 0 damage. 11 health remaining. Errantsquire has two Wild Root Dancers, one's a 4/4, one's a 6/6, a Battle Beetle, and a Howling Brave ready for blocking. The Gods has 2 Spectres, a Menacing Grok, and an Ancestor's Chosen, all ready. Draws card for turn. Best top deck ever. Menacing Grok. Errantsquire has no blockers now. And they don't ready next turn. That's game, I think. Let me do my math real quick. So he's going to swing for 7. Errantsquire can put 1 blocker down, meaning he'd swing for 7 again next turn. That's only 14. So he's not quite there. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Getting a little too excited. That is a huge play, though. Because that does mean that the Gods is alive for at least 1 more turn. He doesn't have to sacrifice his troops yet. Meaning, depending on what he draws, next turn... Oh, this is really interesting. Because nothing that Errantsquire plays next turn, unless he draws one, is a Flight Troop. Meaning the Gods will swing for 8 the following turn. He'll swing for 7 here. That's 15. So here's the 7. Wow, he's probably wishing he would have kept the Thunderbird back, but you can't know you're going to draw a Menacing Grok the next turn and top deck it like a champ. So Errantsquire will take 7, go down to 10. Thunder Gods at 11, Errantsquire at 10. The only thing ready for the Gods now is the Menacing Grok that just come into play. So he'll pass turn. Errantsquire will draw a card for turn, but none of his 6 troops on board will ready. He draws Jadim, which he can't play because he'll wipe the other Jadim off the board. However, he could always play Jadim, followed by Crash of Beasts, and he would have an 8/8 Jadim instead of a 10/10 Jadim, and it'd be able to block. So yeah, he's going to do that. He's going to sacrifice his own Jadim because it's a unique troop. He can only have 1 on board. So here comes Jadim. It's a 5/5. Here comes Crash of Beasts. So it's now an 8/8. Plus he's a 3/3 ground troop. So you can block 2 of his attacks next turn. So yeah, I don't disagree with that play at all. I think that was probably the best play you could have made. That gives him 2 blockers. both of which will kill any troops that swing at it. So he'll pass turn, no resources available, 2 troops ready for defense, 8/8 Jadim flying and 3/3 Rhinoceros. The Gods draws card for turn. Again, he's top decking. Ancestral Spectre gives him another flight troop. Top deck again. Thunderbird. Still, that gives enough blockers. The Gods really needed a shard in there somewhere too, so he could draw another card. I don't think the Gods can withstand this barrage. He can't swing because Errantsquire has 7 troops out there. He can because he doesn't know how big Jadim's going to get. He knows he has to block Jadim, so he has to leave one flight troop back. Which means he could swing 6. One of the flight troops is going to die because of Jadim, which means only 4 are going to get through. The kicker is the troop trauma. The last Spectre and the Thunderbird both came in with troop trauma, meaning they can't attack this turn. Which means he can swing with 4 of the flyers and 1 ground troop. The ground troop's dead, might as well not even swing it. So if he swings 4 flyers, that would get 6 through, but none of them are back to block, so he can't do that. I don't think the Gods can even swing here. Just mathematically, he has to have the blockers back to block Errantsquire next turn. So, yeah, because no matter what he swings, only one of them will get through and he'll lose the other one. So he basically loses 2 blockers if he swings, leaving him 5 troops back facing 7 for only 2 damage. I don't agree with that. But at the same token, Errantsquire can't swing. Well, Errantsquire might as well swing next turn because all his troops can't block anyway because none of them are flying, for the exception of the Jadim and the Battle Beetle. So a lot of calculations going on both ends. If I'm playing here, if I'm the Gods, I think I'm almost forced to pass my attack phase. If I'm Errantsquire, yep, and there he goes. If I'm Errantsquire, you have to swing for lethal. You have to swing for lethal next turn. Wild Root Dancer, which is okay, but it doesn't have a shard with it. So I'm going Fist of Brigand on here to pump up Jadim. But you can't swing with him because you have to have... Wow! Yeah, Fist of Brigand on him because I've got to force... This is tough. Because you've got to force the Gods to block. Because if you don't, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 come back the next turn, one of them will block, that's game. So you have to force the Gods to block. So if you're Errantsquire, you have to swing here to get enough troops off his board and withstand another turn. Because not swinging here, and you're dead. Because, well, technically he has 2 blockers back, so I guess he's not quite dead. Five, 8, 14, 7. So he has to block 2 of them. He only has to block the Sensei and the Root Dancer. So he'll lose 2 attackers. That leaves 2 flyers back. Let's see. So you can block 2 of them. 8 goes through. Wow. That may do it for Errantsquire. Errantsquire may win the game depending on what the Gods draws here. Wow. Pardon my puppy there, barking. I'm really surprised that we have so much blocking going on here. Because you don't need to sacrifice those troops. Because you didn't get anything in return. I'm really surprised by that. Because now you're forcing yourself to draw something. I mean, yeah, he had to draw something anyway. But I don't know if I agree with that. Because now he only takes 2 damage, goes down to 9. He's still top decking. But he lost his Thunderbird, which takes 1 more damage off the board. So he draws a shard, he'll draw another card using his champion power. I don't agree with that blocking pattern. You don't have to block all those. Buccaneer will take Janine off the board. Oh, ooh! No! The Buccaneer's going to take the Grok off the board. That's game! What a draw. I didn't even see that play. So he takes his own Grok off the board, plays it back out, which exhausts all of Errantsquire's troops. He can swing for 4 with the Grok that was already on that stayed on the board, and the Spectre for 4, taking Errantsquire down to 6. Then next turn, because Errantsquire can only play 1, I mean, unless he got a fistful of flying troops in his hand, he can't block all the flyers, because none of his troops ready. What a top deck. Wow. I don't think I ever would have thought of to bounce my own missing Grok there. What a savvy play. Again, Errantsquire, none of his troops ready, so he can't block next turn. He didn't draw a flying troop. So he will face 6 damage flying next turn, which is lethal. The Gods will redeem himself after the misstep in Game 2 and win Game 3 in the match. That couldn't have been a worse top deck for Errantsquire. Wow, what a play. I personally am not a control player, so that thought probably would have never crossed my mind. I don't think I've ever seen it up to this point in time, but I know the people who view this Shardcast and view Errantsquire's stream will remember that play. Wow. So yeah, the Gods can just pass right into the attack phase and swing for 6. And that will be lethal damage. So the Gods will take this game after the savvy Buccaneer bouncing his own menacing Grok, playing it back, and exhausting all of Errantsquire's troops. That is a tough break for Errantsquire. Was able to win Game 2, put himself in the... aside from a time ripple, wow. Aside from a time ripple or a Buccaneer, or flat out drawing the missing Grok, I don't think there is anything else that would have kept Errantsquire from winning the game there. I don't think there is. I can't now. I've cast 21 of these now, but I don't recall any other card that would have helped him there. Because yesterday would have wiped his own troops off the board. Which I guess then he could have played a missing Grok, so yesterday would have been good if he's even playing that. Yeah, what a play. So that's got to be one of the most exciting matches I've done thus far in Shardcast. Which, if you follow me on Twitter, which I hope you do in the future, I had even mentioned to Errantsquire yesterday that his games are the most exciting ones to cast. He didn't let me down. Now you can thank the Gods for helping that out, but that being said, it definitely was the most exciting match I've ever done. So again, this was a HexTCGPro Challenge Series Season 1, Tournament 1, Round 2 match that the Gods took from Errantsquire 2-1, moving the Gods to 2-0 in the tournament. Errantsquire is now 1-1 in the 8-round Swiss tournament. Please follow me on Twitter. Follow me on, or subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you get notification whenever another Shardcast comes out. Follow me on Twitch for when I do my live Shardcast. They'll be on there, as well as when I am playing my own. I do play from time to time. But also, please scroll down to the comments section when you're done here. I'll have Errantsquire's information there as well as TheGods information. So make sure you follow them on Twitter, Twitch, and I believe Errantsquire's got a YouTube. I'll link on there as well. I'll see if I can get a hold of that. But in the meantime, I thank you again for tuning in to the 21st episode of Shardcast. So until next time, I am Fruitvania, and so long. Brace yourself.